Speaking now to Danny Kruger, Conservative MP for Devizes, who supported the measures in yesterday's vote. Good morning.
Good morning.
It was suggested yesterday by your fellow MP, Sir Graham Brady, that these are coercive, controlling measures and the government has no right to tell people in this country when they can and can't see their grandchildren. Do you agree with any of that, even though you voted it through?
Well, I have great sympathy for that view. I mean, that is the starting point of our democracy, is that the individual is free, and the freedom of association, who you mix with, who you see, these are the ancient liberties of the British people. The problem is we've never had a situation where a disease transmits itself through social contact, and actually this most essential right of ours is also what exposes the population to this danger. So the government is in an incredibly difficult position, and we've decided, like every government around the world, that we are going to sadly clamp down on this freedom of movement, freedom of association during the course of this crisis. The question is it going to become permanent, as some of my colleagues seem to fear? And obviously my judgment is no, it's not. The government has no intention or wish, or nothing in the Prime Minister's personal philosophy is wants to control the population. So I just think this is a very regrettable but very necessary step that is going to finish as soon as this COVID crisis is behind us.
Yeah, you trust, and you don't think the government is enjoying this power a bit too much, but do you accept that there is part of society which is a bit ill at ease at how the government is so quick to go for another 6 months?
Well, I recognise a lot of people don't like these rules, and many people are. Yes, they're raising concerns about how much the government is giving more power to the police, and how it's taking power for itself. I think these are very legitimate concerns for us as a free country to be thinking about. It's quite right that we have this debate, and that people are constantly challenging the government about how necessary these rules are. I do think they're necessary. I mean, of course, the extent of them, they've never been used. I'm really hopeful they're not going to be used. The fact is, though, we have to be prepared that there might be a further increase in infections, as you've just heard. The rate of decline is slowing. In Europe, you're seeing a sudden increase, a third wave coming. Obviously, I hope that our vaccination programme is going to prevent that coming here. But we can't assume that we've defeated this virus yet, and that's why these powers need to be retained just in case. They also need to be the Act needs to be renewed for the reasons Dan just gave around the need to extend the furlough scheme and statutory sick pay and all these other important measures.
It's just that vague mention of variants that does make some people feel like it's a noose around a neck, because you'll always have that. This is not going away. We've heard the scientists saying we have to live with it. So why is it that politicians can use the perceived threat of new variants as a justification for this?
Well, as I say, we've got to, ultimately we'll have to see. I mean, if this government proposes to extend these rules indefinitely, then I will completely oppose that. It must finish once this crisis is behind us. Yes, you're right. There's always going to be variants. We're never going to eradicate coronavirus, but we have really good reason to believe that it'll just become like another endemic illness that we manage in our population. My concern is whether there is some sudden new crisis in the coming months that we do need to lock down, and the police need, and I'm afraid to say the government might well need these powers in that I admit unlikely circumstance. That's the reason for keeping them on the books, but it is just a precaution, and I'm very confident that they won't be used, and I'm absolutely certain that the government has no intention of keeping these powers beyond the absolute necessity for it in the coming months.
Danny Kruger, thanks for your time. Conservative MP for Devizes, who supported the measures in yesterday's vote.